Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Mayor Randall Woodfin's Tele-Town Hall meeting. We thank you for taking this time this afternoon to have this conversation. We have several folks on the line. We will probably get a few more coming in just a little while. Just a reminder for you, if you have a question during this Tele-Town Hall, please press 7 on your dial pad, and then you will be talking with a screener, and you can submit your question that way, and we will get as many questions as we can during the time we have together. Thank you very much once again for joining us. I will be your moderator today now. Please join me now in welcoming Mayor Randall Woodfin.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Mayor Randall Woodfin. Let me first start by saying thank you for being on this call. Many of us in our various capacities, I know many of you all on this phone are leaders in the community as it relates to the union organization you are a part of. And so I have a couple high notes. One is I'll be very brief to make sure on this call if there are any questions we can answer, we will. If there's a question I can't answer but believe someone else will, I'll be sure to get that question to that stakeholder and be in a position to give you a response as soon as possible. The other thing is we are, make no mistake, are dealing with a health crisis, not just in this city and state, but in this country, and I would dare say the entire globe. So the things we put in place, such as our own local city state of emergency, as well as our continued communication on a daily basis with the Jefferson County Department of Health, as well as the UAB health systems, we're in constant contact with them so we can be in constant contact with the various stakeholder groups across the city. That includes you all on this phone. This call is to ensure all constituency groups can hear directly from me on our efforts and to make sure you all have an ear, and if anything we can address from our standpoint, we will. In addition to that, we want you to know for your members that City Hall is still open for business. We know with a lot of people being at home, I imagine with some of the work you all do on the residential end, outside of the commercial end, you will see an increase in work. And so for any of your members who have work in our city limits, just know City Hall is still open. And we are in constant communication with the federal and state delegation partners around what the federal Department of Labor is doing and the statewide what the State Department of Labor is doing. So with that, I also want to give you all a reminder for those who missed the beginning of this call or who come in the middle of this call. This call will be recorded and uploaded to the city's website within an hour or so after the call ends, so we can make sure you all will be in a position to listen if you missed something and or share this information with other people in your network. I imagine some questions at a high level include when do we think everything will be back to normal? The answer to that, as I've explained to many other stakeholder groups, is that is to be determined date. That is uncertain right now. This virus is very fluid right now. The situation makes it fluid for cities and states to respond. The immediate priority is the health and well-being of all citizens. And so to prevent the spread, we are having to engage how we interact with each other and how businesses interact with the public as well. So in the immediate future, I definitely see the remaining of March looking differently, but I don't want to speak to April yet. Hold one second, please.
Mayor, I was going to point out you had talked earlier today with Dr. Wes Williford with Jefferson County Department of Health. That question was brought up at that time. He pointed to what health officials here are looking at with China, where the first cases are popping up, and they're trying to model after when things could get back to normal, perhaps from that. So that's one of the things that we're staying in touch with on that conversation.
Right. So I think what you all are witnessing in America, what you're witnessing at the state level and our local Jefferson County level, is we want full interruption and disruption to stop and prevent the spread of the COVID-19. The faster we go towards getting close to social distancing and being intentional about it as possible, we believe the faster we can get back to normal. If we currently just continue to walk about our life as everything is fine, then if it hits our population, then it's harder to stop because you continue to see the spread. If we're paying attention to what we see over in Italy, Italy is hit so hard because it has such a senior elder population and is the oldest populated country in Europe. Why do I bring that up? Because locally, Jefferson County and even in the city limits of Birmingham, we have a high share of seniors and elderly people in our population and community. So we need to make sure, even for those on this call who are young, able-bodied people thinking it won't affect you or you can just get over it if you get it, the goal is for us not to spread it. And so I see in the foreseeable future, definitely for the remaining month of March, our life being disrupted, and so we can decrease the spread of the COVID-19.
I would like to remind everybody that is on the call right now that you can ask questions. If you press 7 on your dial pad, 7 on your keypad, you can be logged in so that you can ask questions. We're here to answer any questions you have, so please do that, and we will begin the Q&A portion of this conversation as well. So press 7 on your keypad, and we will take questions.
To some of the leaders on this call, I know one of the first things you think about is your members. So I want to anticipate one of the questions would be, can the mayor assist legislatively and or in any other way to waive the first week waiting period for the unemployment benefits? I am happy to say, many of you all probably know on this call already, that the Department of Labor announced that the first week waiting period would be waived. What I'll commit to you all is this. There's a team member in the room, and if there's a question he can speak to, I'll let him. That's Earl Hilliard Jr., who many of you all know on this call. We will continue to stay in constant contact with Joe Bonner, who's the Chief of Staff of the Governor, to see what we can push at the state level. And we will continue to stay in constant contact, just like you all, as advocates, in constant contact with Senator Jones and as well as the other members of the delegation, our other U.S. senators, as well as our other state house representatives across the state, and leveraging what they can for us in D.C. An additional question was, does the mayor and or the city have anything planned to help citizens, not city employees such as construction workers? Well, it depends on how big the construction company is. Many of you all know, this past top of the week, we announced the Birmingham Strong Fund. I believe it has a cap on how many employees a small business has. But the purpose, straight to it, is small business loans. In addition to that, as stated earlier, the city of Birmingham is still open for business. So for those who do need permitting, because you have work out in the community, either on the commercial or residential side, you can continue to come in and engage the city of Birmingham. In addition to that, as stated earlier, again, you'll see me repeating myself a lot. We have contacted our federal lobbyists and government relations partners, along with our senators and Congress representatives, on expanding benefits for small businesses, and this, in addition to that, the self-employed and independent contractors. So you'll continue to see us lobby and advocate for that, as well as those who are caring for an immediate family member who has been diagnosed with COVID-19. What can we do to assist those people in the community?
We are screening through a few calls right now, so we'll be coming soon. I got a question for you. One of the questions, and a reminder for you, if I have a question, dial 7 on your keypad, dial 7 on your keypad. A question for you, Mayor. What are your thoughts on repurposing factories to manufacture mission-critical supplies that would come up?
Well, we are in close contact, not necessarily with others in the federal government. We know that the president, as I think recently as yesterday, enacted his defense powers that allows him for critical supplies to do mass production. And the city of Birmingham will 100% support any effort that will not only aid in the manufacturing of critical supplies, but any effort that is attached to that allows us to put people back to work or keep people working.
Another question for you. Do we expect to see a curfew as far as being out on the road in the community? Just know 17 to 18-hour days to make sure there are supplies, that there are supplies and goods.
At this point, let me start with what happened yesterday. So this is going to be a long answer. You probably want a yes or no and then an explanation, but let me try to explain myself first, because we are getting this question a lot. The first thing we want everybody to know is that under my executive order declaring the city state of an emergency, there are broad powers around regulating place and people. Separate from that, the Jefferson County Department of Health, under a health crisis, also has statutory power to regulate places. And as recently as yesterday, Dr. Mark Wilson, who's the head health officer for Jefferson County, has now implemented, and this can be enforced, no gatherings of more than 10 people. Everything else is a recommendation. Around the notion of a curfew, that is an option on the table. We do not see our city or state going there yet. I continue to stay in contact with other mayors across the state, as well as county commissioners, not just here in Jefferson, but others. We continue to stay in contact with all the health officials, state and locally, and that is not something we see ourselves being in a position to do yet. However, that's closely monitored to the spread of this COVID-19 and how many people are testing positive on a daily basis should we use more clampdown measures. I will tell you, if there was such a thing where we had to move to a curfew, there are always exceptions, just like there are exceptions for certain places remaining open. Those places will always be related to food and pharmacy. So around food, grocery stores will always remain open. Gas stations, believe it or not, because they sell some form of food, will remain open. Corner stores will remain open. Dollar stores, believe it or not, sell some type of food, so they will remain open. Banks have to remain open as well. And then people have to get to work, particularly our first responders and others who are deemed essential employees in various walks of life to continue to provide essential services for not only residents in the city but the state. So if a curfew came about, which I am telling you all that is not on the table at all today, there would be exceptions.
Mr. Mayor, I will remind everybody once again, 7 on your keypad, 7 on your keypad, and you will be connected with a screener, and we will put your question up. As we move forward with it, one other piece to remind you of is a lot of people have asked us over the last 24 hours what is essential and non-essential businesses. If you can go to jcdh.org, that's Jefferson County Department of Health, jcdh.org, the most recent order which lists non-essential businesses is there. You can also go to birminghamal.gov, and at the bottom of the screen, when you scroll to the bottom of the screen, there is a newsroom location there, and you can click on that, and you can see the order from the Jefferson County Department of Health about the list of non-essential businesses and the restrictions on groups of 10 or more as well. A reminder once again to dial in to or dial 7 to get information.
So there's another question about how many cases are in the city limits of Birmingham. I don't have Dr. Williford on this phone. What I can tell you, with all the cases in the state of Alabama, Jefferson County makes up half the cases. So we have a high number of the cases within all 67 counties combined. The second note I will make is that the question wasn't how many in Jefferson. The question was Birmingham. I think that health officials have been intentional about not naming cities. If you recall last Friday, when the first case was announced, the state said Montgomery County. They didn't say the city of Montgomery. When the second case came about, they said Jefferson County. They didn't say what city within our county. And as the numbers continue to increase, they give numbers by county, not by city. I imagine they have some reason for doing that, but that reason has not been shared with city officials.
As we continue on, and I'm going to pull up additional questions that we have out there, and remind you that our Senior Director of Governmental Affairs is with us too, Earl Hilliard Jr., looking at some of the questions that are out there. If you can address this, if an employer lays off employees due to the loss of production caused by the coronavirus, will the employees be eligible for unemployment insurance benefits?
They are. Matter of fact, one of the things I wanted to just add out there, some of the questions we got around when your unemployment compensation benefits kick in, one of the things I wanted people to know, because it was added, was those who are caring for an immediate family member who've been diagnosed with COVID-19. If you're diagnosed, if you've been laid off or sent home without pay for an extended period due to the employee's concerns with COVID-19, and then if you've been quarantined by a medical professional or government agency. And that's important to know. I also want to throw in another fact. One of the things your mayor and the city of Birmingham has been working on is we have been using our influence in D.C., our government relations professionals, and we have been working with our congressman, Terry Sewell, and our senators to make these important things happen for you. So right now, if you didn't know, literally today they're working on phase 3 of the appropriations for the state, and this one specifically affects you because this one affects the impacted industries. So this is a $1.2 trillion one. As you know, phase 1 was the $8.1 billion when they did earlier this week. And then phase 2 was Families First, which you probably heard about. We're now in phase 3, which is dealing with the unemployment insurance and really expanding that and dealing with the impacted industry. So that's important. So they'll probably get this done by Monday. If for those of you who aren't keeping up with it, the House is not in session right now because they're not sure they can get a quorum. So right now, Senator Schumer in the Senate is actually negotiating on behalf of Pelosi. So they're working on all these things on your behalf, and we're literally trying to help make sure that you are covered and that we support the families and the workers in the city of Birmingham.
A reminder once again, press 7 on the dial pad to ask a question. Press 7 on the dial pad to ask a question. Mayor Woodfin is answering your questions along with Governmental Affairs Senior Director for the City of Birmingham, Earl Hilliard Jr. Earl, I'll ask you another question as well. Is the coronavirus a disaster, and can I receive disaster unemployment assistance?
As of right now, I don't think that the president has classified it as a disaster. It has definitely been a national emergency, but I don't think it's been classified as a disaster at this specific moment.
All right, thank you for that. There was one other thing, if we can turn back to the conversation about Be Him Strong, and I know that that we've been pushing that out. There's information and there's opportunities for small businesses out there as well as BeHimStrong.com, where people can reach out and get more information. They can gather more information there. You can also find opportunities for workers and support for workers and for ways that you can get involved in the community. So we want to encourage everybody. Stand by. We're waiting on another question to pop up in a moment, and we will provide that one as well. But we are.
Well, Rick, real quick, let me be very specific. The President of the United States has declared the coronavirus a national disaster. But what has to happen is there has to be appropriated assistance has to be appropriated with it. So there's been no disaster unemployment assistance declaration that would actually activate that assistance.
All right, thank you very much, Earl. I know that we were in touch with Alabama Department of Labor earlier today, and you've been in touch with them. What more can we update as far as the State Department of Labor and what they're doing right now?
Well, right now, the State Department of Labor, they're actually waiting to see how much extra money comes to the state. So they're actually keeping an eye on what the federal government's doing with the appropriations, where appropriations are happening, and they're trying to see how our industries are affected. So in other words, right now, every day as the levels of change happen, certain businesses are closing down, as we're having to make the health department has to make certain classifications, they're having to see how other industries are affected and see where they need to put appropriations and how the state's going. The problem is, as you know, the legislature is actually on break right now. So legislatively speaking, you can't appropriate or do anything extra other than what the governor has done.
So a couple of reminders for everybody on this line. If you want to get a playback, we will be putting this up on the city's website at birminghamal.gov. At birminghamal.gov, you will scroll down to the bottom and you'll see the newsroom location, and you can get a playback. That'll be up within the next hour or two on the website. Also, just a reminder, if there's a question that you have and this call is completed, if you press 7 before the call is completed, and once it's over, hold on and you can leave a voicemail and we can follow back up with you as well. Another reminder for everybody as far as some of the communications tools the City of Birmingham is doing, this is typically for urgent messages to get out about major declarations or announcements. If you text the keyword BHM COVID, one word, to 888-777. That's BHM COVID, one word, to 888-777. You will be tied in, and we will send you out messages like the health department's order that was released yesterday afternoon. That is all caps, BHM COVID at 888-777. Mayor, with that, I would like to see if you would like to close out this call.
So I'll wrap us up with the public safety briefing. Please remind and continue to share with your members 3 things. 1, let's all practice good common sense. If anyone is sick, please stay at home. 2, let's practice great hygiene. Please share with your members that they need to continue to wash their hands as well as use hand sanitizer and keep that on them as well, especially after any surface they touch. 3 is, as much as they can, practice social distancing to protect themselves and to protect their colleagues and family members. With that, we truly believe that the people on this phone are not only leaders on behalf of their members, but leaders in this community. We believe in the unions as an administration, and we know the work you do. We know this is hard times for your members, but I believe we will get through this and come out stronger on the other end. If there's anything the city can do to be helpful to you all as your organizations and or your members, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, and thank you so much.